Welcome to State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. The State of Wellbeing is a holistic well-being podcast with the goal of supporting the campus community as we strive to be a growing, high-performing, and healthy university.
Welcome back to another episode of the State of Wellbeing podcast. My name is Kevin Sackreiter. I am the Executive Director for the Center for Professional Enrichment and Teaching Excellence here at South Dakota State University. I'm really excited to have join us today Angela Brown, who's a clinical assistant professor in the School of Health and Human Sciences. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
I'm really excited for our conversation today, and what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus specifically on exercise ideas, specifically things that you can do within your work environment, maybe even at your desk, and other ways that you can support your well-being from a health and wellness perspective. And so, Angela, why don't we start by, I did a little bit of a brief introduction, but maybe talk about your role, how you came to South Dakota State University, and just share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I was a grad of the SDSU athletic training program in 2006. Then I went out to the University of Wyoming and worked on a master's degree, completed that degree out there, and then a position opened up here to teach full-time at SDSU. So I've been teaching at some capacity for the last 15 years this fall, so I'm really excited about that. I think that's kind of a milestone of mine. The last 12 years, I was more of an adjunct role and then working as a clinical athletic trainer in the high school environment at Brookings High School. So this is I've just finished my first year full-time back here, just strictly with SDSU teaching in the athletic training program.
Yeah, no, that's great. 15 years. We were talking a little bit ago about the little service medals that we get about the time that we've been here. And so 15 years is outstanding. So why don't we jump right in? And let's maybe if you'd want to start us out by sharing with us some ideas related to exercise and stretching that employees could engage with at their desks or at their workstations. Maybe have a little bit more healthy work environment.
Sure. So a couple of things came to mind when I was thinking about this and preparing for this podcast. So first, I think is just an awareness of time. Like, you know that you've got certain projects and you can kind of estimate about how long those will take. So I think if I can, what I usually do is I kind of go, okay, this will be maybe like a half an hour, 45-minute project. And then I try to kind of go, okay, is there something I can do to either break up that time or to even just say, you know what, maybe if it's something I need to touch base with another faculty member or a student, is it something I could either have them come in or is it maybe a piece where I could go over to their office? And so kind of trying to add in different pieces like that. But I think just an awareness that we know that as a person sits for a longer period of time, that your body kind of adapts to that position. And so I think if you can just kind of think about, okay, you know what, maybe I need, for my office, I'm on the first floor of Wagner, and then a lot of our other faculty members are up on the fourth floor. So it'd be just as easy to probably, for me, go on and, okay, I could go the elevator, but I try to make sure that, okay, let's try to make at least one or two trips up the stairs each day just to either touch base with those other faculty members or other pieces like that. And then I think also just, there's some different pieces out if you wanted to look at the YouTube thing for like office or chair yoga. Those are some different pieces too, and how to kind of break up that time. So yes, big tasks need to get done, but I think you can always kind of just be aware of what you're doing, what those tasks are, and maybe not necessarily trying to break it up. If that's kind of a hard piece to do, maybe you just try to say, you know what, okay, this is going to be a day I'm going to do more of this. Then tomorrow I'm going to try to do something different if you know that those tasks are going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah, I love that idea. Like, one of the things I struggle with is that choice between the elevator and the stairs. And you can tell if I've taken the elevator too long, if I'm going over to do a class observation, for example, and I have to do the 3 flights of stairs in Avera.
Right.
And I get to the top, and then I have to talk to those students, and I'm like, give me a second. And so I love that idea of, like, those are choices that we can make, and we just have to be intentional about saying, okay, I need to do the stairs today.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
One of the resources I love that you mentioned is YouTube as well. I think there's some great things on YouTube. And are there ways that maybe you've used some of those to come up with ideas yourself as far as exercise for other people to do or for yourself?
I think just kind of sometimes just variety. Right. So just typing in exercise, if I'm looking for something specific, just like a chair yoga or you can find different time ones. There's like 5-minute or 10-minute. So I think the world can be explored. So sometimes just variety is important too.
Right. No, definitely. So one of the things that I know we talk about, I think we had an email in our email system yesterday about getting steps in and some walking programs. And I guess I'm curious from your perspective, what are some ways that employees can be intentional about getting more steps in during the day? Like, I'll get to the end of the day and I'll be shocked at how few I have in, and I'm like, okay, I need to push myself now and at the end of the day, like, crash through steps. But I'd like to spread it out more. I guess.
Sure.
Do you have any thoughts related to getting those steps in?
I think just start with the really smart and just very specific small type of goals. So if you know that you're typically one that doesn't get a lot of steps in, it's going to be it might be something where you can just start off saying, you know what, I'm just going to maybe walk a little bit more from here to there. Maybe I'm going to take the long way around. So I usually park over by the library. So for me to go from there to Wagner is a straight shot. But sometimes I've decided that, you know what, I'm going to walk around over by like Dairy Micro and around that way. And so yes, it is a little bit longer, but on a nice day, it goes just the same. I'm usually not in too much of a hurry to have to make sure that I'm, kind of short and step in that way. So I think, anytime you can take kind of that initiative of, a walk and talk sometimes is kind of fun. If you know that you need to go talk to a colleague, you could easily say, you know what, can we just walk and talk for a little bit? You want to go out and catch a breath of fresh air too, and can easily kind of get a piece in of walking there. And then also, just again, if you know that a coworker is going to be in their office, you could easily send a 2-second email, or is it a point where, again, you can just go up and ask that person or walk across the hallway? Those types of pieces can add in some more walking.
I love the walking meeting idea. I think, and this is just me observing the world, I think post-COVID, we've become very reliant on the Zoom meeting as a fallback. And I notice if I do 4 or 5 Zoom meetings in a row, and I'm just sitting in my chair, I'm not going anywhere, it almost feels like more work sometimes than when I got to transition and walk between different meetings. And so I love the idea of like looking for ways to have like walking meetings, or not just rely on Zoom.
Right.
But let's go see people.
Yep, exactly. Right. And I think that interaction is so important. And I agree. I think it is easy to kind of go, oh, you know what, we'll Zoom. But if there are opportunities to kind of open up more of those, hey, we're going to have face-to-face meetings, I think you do. It does get easier.
Well, and I think I feel better at the end of the day about my work, about the place, the institution as well, if I'm getting to physically see people.
Yes.
I think if I do like 7 and I've done 7 Zoom meetings in a row, I leave at the end of the day and I'm like, this just, it feels icky, for lack of a better term, right? So I like the idea of let's go see each other and let's walk to do that. Yeah. Angela, one of the things that comes up often are various apps or fitness tracking devices that people can use. Do you have any thoughts related to using those and how those might support an individual's health goals?
Yeah. The nice part is that can be actually a nice accountability tool for a lot of people. So if you have that piece with your watch, your Apple Watch, or your Fitbit, the different things like that, sometimes those can be nice parts to kind of letting you know where you're at as far as those steps each day or that activity each day at a different point. So maybe you say, you know what, maybe I haven't been very active yet this morning. Maybe I try to do more as that afternoon or over the noon hour, or maybe it's a night thing and you say, you know what, I've got a little bit of time. Maybe I could quickly go out for a walk or a bike ride or something like that. So I think they're great. I think sometimes maybe they don't necessarily always count for all your activities. So I don't know that you can necessarily put 100% faith into, yep, I got my 10,000 steps today. I think they're fairly accurate, but I think also, again, it can be a nice way to kind of look at and have something to be able to reflect on, to say, yeah, I am getting there. And then over time, it's nice too, because a lot of those things track over a longer period of time. So you can say, you know what, over the last month, I've done better than I did the last month or a year ago, and some different kind of things that you can kind of pat your back and kind of reward yourself to say, you know what, I'm making better choices. Again, even if it's only 200 or 300 steps more a day, if that's 200 or 300 more steps, and that's each month on top of each other, you'll easily be able to get to those 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day that's recommended.
So outside of SDSU, are there any community resources that you feel like maybe we should make sure that employees are aware that these exist as opportunities for people to support their well-being from a health perspective?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Miller Wellness Center here on campus, I think other things would be the Dakota Nature Park. That's a really nice place. I've taken my bike out there. You can easily walk out there. You can also rent canoes and different things too, if maybe the walking and those riding your bike aren't necessarily kind of up what you'd like to do for exercise or just physically active activities. Additional things came to mind for like the Hillcrest Aquatic Center, and then also just looking, Brookings Park and Rec offers quite a few opportunities, not only for the children and youth in our town and area, but also for adults too, to be involved with different adult leagues for co-ed volleyball. I've done that. It was a couple of years ago, but did that piece. You can also do some like aqua type of aqua activities at the aquatic center. That's a combination of the park and rec plus being in the water and again getting a different way to get some exercise.
There's nothing wrong with things a few years ago. I was quite the avid co-ed volleyball player in graduate school, and I have many years of softball playing time as well. And I just think those are great ways to stay active, and I wish I could prioritize those things a little bit more as your kids get older and start pulling you away. I think it's hard to maintain all of that, but a lot of great options in the community.
Definitely. And I feel definitely what Kevin's saying there as far as having my own family of 3 little girls and kind of trying to adapt those activities to more of family versus when you are single or single married. Type of couple activities. It does kind of change your perspective on what type of activities you can do as a family.
So it's as if you knew where I wanted to go next. Talk about family a little bit, and how does the Brown family stay active in the summer and things that you all engage in that maybe we could share with some of the folks who are listening today?
Yeah, so one of the first things that I had gotten actually from a colleague of mine, Rita Erickson at Brookings High School, was she took her children for a tour of the parks. And so now we get a map of the parks in the Brookings area, and we try to just cross them off each time. So trying to just get through 1 or 2 a week is kind of fun over the summer, especially where they're out of school and have a little bit more availability. But it's so fun to see different areas, different parks, different equipment for different ages, and kind of keeps it fun for them as well as for me. Another thing is our girls are involved in gymnastics at Gold Medal Gymnastics. I think we've got lots of different health and fitness facilities around town for different ages of people too. So if there's a certain activity that you think you're interested in, I think we've got a lot to offer that way. And then the last thing is just family bike rides. So it's kind of fun to go on a bike ride, and maybe you know where you're going, maybe you don't know where you're going. Maybe you're going to stop at 15, 20 minutes and see where you actually made it to. And so those are kind of fun things that we like to do as a family.
Yeah, a lot of great bike trails
Yes.
in the community. And, one of the things our kids have discovered that they've loved, especially when they were in that, 5 to 10-year-old range, is the pump park out in the nature park, where they have all the little hills that they shouldn't really have to pedal a whole lot, but they can just go up and down, and they wipe out once in a while, but they seem to really enjoy that. And we enjoy the chance to just kind of see where you go.
Yeah,
well.
definitely. And we have a little burly stroller that we can pull along with our bike, so that's kind of nice for our little ones that aren't quite strong enough or big enough to ride their own bike yet. And so it transitions to a stroller, so it's kind of nice. Sometimes we've actually taken it on a bike ride, and then we'll go ahead and we'll pull it into the stroller mode and then have a way for the girls to kind of still go around with us if we go somewhere else. It's fun.
Well, this has been a great conversation, and I think there's just been so many tremendous ideas. Before we wrap up, is there any final thought that you maybe want to share with folks related to just trying to stay active and engaged in their maintaining of their health and their well-being?
I think it's very personalized. So find something that you like. If you haven't found it yet, keep trying different things. Try to find something that you think is really just a way that you find enjoyable, relaxing. And then I think then you kind of can start branching out. If you haven't found that again yet, still just keep trying. I think something will probably come along that you go, you know what? Even if it's just a little bit more active than you were, that's, again, those small little goals that you can get and then start adding into those as time goes on.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, Angela Brown, for joining us today. And thank you all for joining us on the State of Wellbeing podcast. I look forward to sharing more episodes with you throughout the summer, and enjoy the time away with your family, with your friends. Take that time to refresh. And again, thank you for joining our State of Wellbeing podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. This podcast is brought to you by the Mental Wellbeing Team and SD State Health.